It's time for that argument. Dave put up that he could prove that parenthood and having kids is selfish and stupid.
I didn't say I could prove it. I just made a statement, and I'll stand by my statement.
Why do you think that having kids is selfish?
What's selfless about it?
The fact that you're caring for somebody else, that you're contributing to the world.
Yeah, but that's not selfless. That's very self-centered deed. So that's not selfless. But break it down to its grassroots. You care for a child because you have to.
No.
There's no choice, bro. Either you're going to do it or someone else will have to do it because you can't. I don't want to. Whatever.
Okay. Small disclaimer. I'm going to get brutal here. You could leave that child absolute barren, this, that, and everything else. There is no physical obligation to parenthood in that sense. So that, I'd say, is bull. Like, you'd have the societal expectations and pressures and everything else, by all means.
If you don't, chances are someone else will. That's how the world works. Or you go to prison. But I largely think that saying that you raise them and you love them and you care for them is selfless is false.
No. Right. I'm not saying that by any means that's selfish. There is 100% selfish undertones to, or not even undertones, just selfish tones to parenthood. But it's not all a selfish venture. It's like it's like in the same sense of like planting a tree or caring for an animal.
Planting a tree does good for the world.
Again, it's still, you could argue that it's selfish in its way.
You could, but it does good for the world.
Doesn't matter, so does a bloody child. But you was put here by somebody else's child.
Yeah, I know that. But just because you have a child doesn't mean you've done good for the world, bro.
No, some people are absolute terrorists to society.
I mean, by the by, most of the time, any human that's born is a net negative on the world in general. And I don't mean that in a mad negative way, but we are net negative. We take more from the world than we give. We all do. By process, you do that by having a child. They are net negative on the world itself.
Hey, say, my bro.
Yo.
You good in the hood? How's it hanging?
Lower and lower as I get older.
And as it gets warmer.
The sun's out, homie.
It's coming.
The sun is here. Can you believe it, Jeff? Unbelievable scenes.
But yeah.
It's a miracle.
It is. It is nice to see. But in that upbeat tone, what are we starting with?
I got a bit of a different Did You Know today.
Ooh.
And it's not a random fact.
Okay.
But it's based on something that happened to me recently that you don't know that I've been holding just for the podcast.
Dave got pegged. Dun dun dun.
No, I did not get pegged. It's a one-way street.
Sorry,
war crimes come out and nothing goes in.
Oh my. Let's not talk about war crimes.
But did you know that there's actually someone in our lives that has actually been watching the podcast? Dun dun dun.
Say swear?
Say swear.
That we... Oh,
you don't know, but I know. My missus has apparently been watching the podcast. And do you know how I knew? Or how I found this out?
Go on.
Well, Friday was us being together for 6 months, right? And you know what this little... No, I can't say swear words. You know what this little lady done?
Go on.
Well, she saw an episode and took a little bit of offence to one of the things that I might have said. And decided that she wanted to change it.
Just one of the things.
Just one. She didn't take offence, but she took, she didn't like it. So she decided to change it. If you cast your mind back to this thing called Valentine's Day, we had a whole conversation about things, didn't we? And do you remember one thing that I said?
About the flowers.
She bought me a plant, bro.
Oh, a plant or a bonsai?
A plant.
Oh, okay. What plant?
A pink ficus. It is cool, man. Thing it's got like slight pink edges. And now I have to look after this thing. And it's going to be about this damn tall by the time it grows.
See, and this is where it starts. But this is where, if you actually talk about things and put it out into the world, and people listen.
So did you know that my missus bought me a plant because of the podcast? No, you didn't. No, you do.
Well, that is something new.
I reacted like the...
And I appreciate it, Fred. Thank you.
I reacted like the biggest space kid. Like, bro, on it, she pulled it out, right? She's like, oh, I was 6 months today. I was like, okay. And I can't remember what I said, but she was just like, we're going to like this. Look at it. And I was like, huh? I was like, oh, it's a plant. Now, me being me, initially thought like it was something she got being sweet, so like we can kind of look after it until we get our own place. That's where my brain went to straight away, and she was just like, are you dumb? I was like, what? She's like, I got it for you. I was like, wait, what? I didn't know how to react. I was so bad. I've never had to react to it before. So I was like, right. She's like, you said on the podcast that you've never been given flowers or a plant. So I decided to change it. And then that hit me even more. And I was like, oh, we've proper malfunctioned here. I don't know what to do. So I was just like, what podcast? She's like, you're proper dumb. I was like, I'm proper baffed. What do you mean?
That's true.
And she's like, the podcast that you do with your friend? I was like, you watch that? She's like, yeah, I watched some of it. And I watched that episode about Valentine's Day where you said I had never had flowers or a plant. So I decided to change it. And I was like, there's a lot going on here. I don't know where to start, babe. And, right. Like, proper just, emotional constipation. Bro, it's like every circuit board just blew up. And I was like, I don't know where to start. But this is the sweetest damn thing.
Here's a question for you then. Have you watered it yet?
Yeah, she showed me. Not gonna lie. She was just like, this is the amount of water you need. I was like, I've never looked after a plant. She's like, I was like, does it need sunlight? She's like, yeah, but if you put it too close to a window, it might burn. I was like, plant burn? She's like, yeah. I was like, I'm a parent now. I'm a parent now to a plant. Don't worry, in a couple of weeks I'll have a name for it. I haven't figured it out yet.
I mean, I can help you out with that.
Yeah, see, I like names to begin with the letter of what they are. You know what I mean?
So what is it again?
It's a pink ficus. So it's either going to be something with F or something with P.
Or P and F.
You're getting too fancy there, you know what I mean?
It's food for thought though. Hey, if you're watching, Fred, if you're watching, drop a comment for a suggestion for the name.
But yeah, I discovered it basically. I'm going to have to open the curtains in my room
Pink
now.
Foo-foo.
I'm going to have to open the curtains in my room now, which I'm not sure if I'm that happy about.
That's good for you though.
Nah, bro. I don't spend that much time in it anyways.
Yeah, true. But do you know what though? I think there is. I swear I sense a difference. If I don't open the blinds in the room and like no light has been in that room for a couple of days, you can feel that there's been no light in the room. Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, like, I always keep them closed because I'm just like, nah. But in the summer, I do start opening them because I do this kind of weird thing where I keep them open at night and then try and wake up naturally with like some light. I feel like it makes me wake up 10 times better.
Best way to wake up.
Yeah, you wake up, you're just like naturally waking up with the light. You're like, boom, I'm good.
I genuinely think just having sunlight come into a room or not makes a difference. Like just to the actual like air of the room or whatever. It's like there's probably some science behind it or whatever else. That the UV probably purifies something or stops the air from there too.
Ain't no purifying this vessel.
That's true, but the sun's gonna kind of try. Anyway,
but yeah, I thought that would be a nice.
As you've got a different did you know, I kind of got a different spin on a hypothetical. And this is kind of stupid answers only.
That's my favourite kind.
Exactly. So if you could bring in the death penalty for one crime, what would it be?
Cutting in traffic lanes.
That's not a stupid answer.
End of discussion.
That is fully...
End of discussion. End of discussion. Just move on.
Bro, so you're not the only one lately that's been experiencing all of these...
If you've got the wrong lane and you're cutting into mine because you have bad lane management, death penalty.
Yeah, bro, people that literally...
If you cut in front of me because you're trying to overtake people but you can't do it properly, death penalty.
Bro, people that just whack their indicator on and think they can do whatever they want or just drive around like, oh... Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I know we all have our moments of driving like an absolute bell. But it's not all the time, and for these lot,
my favourite ones, like the ones that mistime it, even though you've timed it to perfection, you've crossed the yellow box, but you're the last one in. And there's some clown behind you who has clearly mistimed it because they're not paying attention. Yeah. And then it starts getting aggy at you, and it's just like,
oh, bro.
Brother, I'm not, what am I meant to do? Bro, I've timed this right. It's not on me that you followed me, and there's no space. Sit in the box, bro.
Bro, the cheesy buggers that sit
the
on the side road.
The best one is there's one near where I am, where there's a yellow box. There's 2 lanes, but one is a bus lane. 24/7 bus lane.
Oh, damn.
So now if you misjudge that, which people do because it's a horrible little section, but it's a nightmare. Because you've got they've got a turn that comes out, it's always busy because people are cutting through. And it goes over a bridge. Get it wrong, you get shafted. But I'm smart, and I use the reflection from the shop windows to see where traffic's moving. So I can see way up ahead, right? I don't need to see at the bridge they're moving. Look in the window, 5 cars that are moving. Rolling. Because you got to be aggressive, otherwise they're all jumping. You ain't going to get there, right?
Bro, if there's
and there's always one that follows now and then. And I'm like, you ain't going to get clearance. Now you have a choice. Sit in that box and get fined, or go in the bus lane and get fined. Which one are you going to do? Because I can't wait to find out which one it's going to be.
So
this always gets me. You just see them sweating because and the ones that go in the bus lane is like, so you avoided a fine to get a fine, huh?
So I don't know how much truth there is to this, and I don't want to risk it myself if just like finding out on a whim. But supposedly, if you maintain some form of movement while you're in those yellow boxes, they won't find you. So either rock backwards and forwards.
As long as if you're rolling through it, you're calm. I've never been done.
So go slow as you possibly can, like half a mile an hour, just barely clutching. Or if you're like you, just accelerator.
No, it's the same.
Oh, actually, no. You just take your foot.
Just come off everything.
Yeah, and then move.
It's still clutching. I just don't have to hold the clutch.
Yeah, well, it's not the car's clutching.
That's my point.
You literally just come off the brake.
But I don't have to do it, right?
Yeah, that's annoying.
Don't hate. Some of us leveled up.
Oh, that's what I was going to say to you, bro. While we're talking about driving, I was driving up the motorway the other day. Little one fell asleep in her chair. Obviously, I'm in my own little world, just daydreaming, listening to my music. Went to change gear. Did I not grab her foot instead of the gear stick? Trying to shift. I was like, my God.
My guy.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a moment, but...
I was full passenger princess on Sunday. It was great. I didn't have to drive.
Bro, I ain't been passenger princess in time.
I finally figured out what it's like to be a missus, but I'm just sitting there just like going, cool, it's nice to be a passenger. All of a sudden I find myself just going... I'm like, oh no, a woman.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh, so that's why she does this when I'm driving. No, fair enough. It's just like a compulsion thing.
Just idle hands.
Just gonna touch you. No way, you're doing great. Keep it up.
That's right, somebody needs to.
Trust. Unlucky, huh?
But yeah, so cutting in traffic is the death penalty.
Yeah. Buying water at any fast food restaurant.
Just
defeats the whole purpose. You're more
messing up my food. If you mess with my food, if you disrespect the food that I've paid you to make,
delivering the wrong item or missing an item on a delivery, getting a bit.
Unless you're the reciprocant. So I remember before somebody knocked my door with like a whole supermarket removed, bunch of shopping, handed it to me and was like, here's your delivery. I didn't order jack, but believe me, I received that delivery. And I was like,
reminds me of someone I worked with was teeing off.
We are eating free tonight.
Someone I worked with was teeing off because their supermarket delivery got delivered to the wrong address on their block. And the person took it. And she was like, I know who it is. And there's nothing I can do. And I was just like, absolutely violated.
But like, bro, surely they have to honour it still and come out with another thing. So,
or if they just refund it. Or whatever, but it's like absolute violation. Like my guy's sitting there just eating the dinner that you were meant to be eating. You got nothing. Violation.
Speaking from experience, it tastes so much better when you didn't pay. It tastes so much better.
My God.
Yeah, should we go get into this episode?
Let's go.
Let's do it. What's going on, beautiful people? This is the Perspective Chasers podcast. I'm your host, John.
And I'm Dave. Yeah.
And it's time for that argument. Dave put up that he could prove that parenthood and having kids is selfish and stupid.
I didn't say I could prove it. I just made a statement. And I'll stand by my statement.
Let's go.
You selfish prick.
I mean, in my defense, it wasn't on purpose.
Okay.
But I still... Why do you think having kids is selfish?
What's selfless about it?
The fact that you're caring for somebody else, that you're contributing to the world.
Yeah, but that's not selfless. That's a very self-centered deed. So it's not selfless.
It has areas of selfishness to it, but...
Break it down to its grassroots. You care for a child because you have to.
No.
There's no choice, bro. Either you're going to do it or someone else will have to do it because you can't.
Huh?
Don't want to. Whatever.
Okay. Small disclaimer. I'm going to get brutal here. You could leave that child absolute barren, this, that, and everything else. There is no physical obligation to parenthood in that sense. So that I'd say is bull. Like you'd have the societal expectations and pressures and everything else by all means.
If you don't, chances are someone else will. That's how the world works. Or you go to prison.
But if we go back to again, take society out of it, like and
yeah, but you can't take society out of this argument because it doesn't work.
Of course you can.
No, you can't. It doesn't work because we live in society. We don't live in a damn jungle.
Yes,
and if you don't look after your child, either someone else will in your place, or you will go to jail because that's neglect.
But again, I think this is something that kind of trips us all up in that sense. Is the whole world doesn't exist in society. Society is different all around the world. Do you know what I mean? So like, there are some people that would just abandon a child. Like, bro, there are cultures in the world that for their gender they would throw them down a well. Like, the world is brutal, and we all believe that this way is the only way or whatever else. Like, how many just random animals are abandoned in the wild? Some do cease to exist, but some survive.
Yeah. Animals and humans, whilst we are both animals, very different concepts. Humans don't raise their children like the wild do. The wild raise them because that's how they raise them, bro. That's the animal kingdom.
But then do you not think there was a time that we raised our kids like the wild did? When we was more wild?
They probably would have been, but I largely think that saying that you raise them and you love them and you care for them is selfless, is false.
No. Right. I'm not saying that by any means that's selfish. There is 100% selfish undertones to, or not even undertones, just selfish tones to parenthood. But it's not all a selfish venture. It's like it's like in the same sense of like planting a tree or caring for an animal.
Planting a tree does good for the world.
Again, it's still, you could argue that it's selfish in its way.
You could, but it does good for the world.
It does not. So does a bloody child. But you was put here by somebody else's child.
Yeah, I know that. But just because you have a child doesn't mean you've done good for the world, bro.
No, some people are absolute terrorists to society.
I mean, by the by, most of the time, any human that's born is a net negative on the world in general. And I don't mean that in a mad negative way, but we are net negative. We take more from the world than we give. We all do. By process, you do that by having a child. They are net negative on the world itself.
Not once they're contributing.
But what do they contribute? Most of us do not give back more to this world than we take. We take from this planet to create energy. We take that energy to create pollution, to create mess, to create waste, to create stuff that we don't necessarily need or want. What do we actually give back to the world? Which is a whole different episode in itself.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm actually, on that point, I'm struggling to argue with you because we do essentially blindly consume, and in many ways, and I've even said it myself, like, the human species is very much a cancer on the world. Like, if you look at how a virus behaves, we behave far more like a virus, draining all of the resources of our host.
And this is the point. When I said having kids is selfish, that wasn't me saying I am against people having children. And that wasn't me saying that there may not be a point when time comes that I might want to have kids. I get it, and I'm not against it. I love my goddaughter. That's a blessing. But, on the whole, it's a selfish thing. If I have a child, it's a selfish thing. I am choosing to continue my bloodline. I am choosing to create life. I am choosing that path. I am choosing to tailor my entire existence based on that one thing.
See, the thing
I am choosing that anyone that's in this path and it's an immediate family, that's aunties, uncles, and family, now have to sacrifice money to that child for the next 18 years of his birthdays and Christmases.
Right. But then, so I'm genuinely trying to think about this because I really do want to argue with you. Like, but at the same time, there is a lot of truth in what you're saying, and that's coming from somebody with kids. But then there's a lot of caveats in life. Like I say, like, not every birth is planned. So then, can you say that somebody that has a kid that was unplanned is a selfish parent in that vein?
100%.
go on that edge because that's literally like personally gunning for me. Obviously, I know you're not.
Oh, personally, damn right I'm gunning for you.
Gun for me. Let's go.
You created the accident.
Yeah.
That's the most selfish of all things. You actively put yourself in that line of fire. That's on you. I'm sorry, bro. Unless, if an accident happens and you follow the steps to prevent them, that's unlucky. But if people are out there not doing that, and this accidents happen, well, we know the risks associated. That is on you.
Yeah, but...
And I'm not even trying to sling at people, man. Things happen, I get it, man. Like, we're all adults, man.
This is the thing, so...
But I think, personally, if you're not following steps for safe sex, and an accident happens, that falls definitely more into the selfish category than anything, because you understand the risks you're running.
I do hear that to an extent, but at the same time, there are so many variables along the way.
I hear you, but if you're not practicing safe sex, can you call it an accident?
I mean, that I can't push back on.
You see my point?
Like, yeah.
Because you know the risks.
The risks make it better.
If you're wearing a raincoat and the hood splits open and you don't know, that's a bona fide accident.
Bro, that happened to a mate of mine before on his first time.
Mad.
Could you imagine that being your first experience?
Mad. What did he just like rip it open or something?
I don't know.
Everyone knows when you open those things, you got to push down a little bit to make sure it's sacrosanct, bro.
Bro, pinch, leave, an inch and roll.
100.
For any of you youngins out there, remember those.
Yeah, when you're tearing open the package, push it out the way before tearing. You don't want you don't mess.
Hey.
And then when you do have that thing on, you do your little...
Hey,
it looks okay.
I'm not even an advocate for those buggers. But yeah, you got to leave...
Some of them are alright, I'm not even gonna lie.
You got to leave some...
Just got to get the right ones.
Yeah, but bro, like, for me, it just ruins my flow, man.
Oh, I was like that, but if you find the right ones, you're all good.
Are we going to go on a slight tangent here?
Yeah, they've got to be fit enough, bro.
Alright, worst experience? You must have had one bad one. Like,
with wearing your namesake.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to wear rubber-free ones once. They were different, like latex-free ones.
Bro.
Latex-free ones?
Yeah.
Grim! No lube, bro. No lube. When you have to bust open a packet of lube for something that should already be lubricated, you are in a bad way, bro. Oh, the worst thing is I nearly slipped on the lube that was on the floor as well, man. Bad times. Bad times.
Bro.
Latex free. Oh, rough. Don't recommend it, man. It's awful.
Yeah, they're not my favourite of things, bro.
I found the right ones these days.
Alright.
Alright.
Yeah.
It stinks. The smell, I can't stand the smell.
Bro, have you ever kind of...
Y'all need to work on that.
Do you... I'm kind of answering it myself as I'm about to ask it in my own head, but at the same time, I'm not. So, what the hell is the purpose to flavour Johnnies? Why are you strapped up for all... Like, I know...
STIs.
Yeah, I get that, but come on, man. Like, really? Like, what guy in their right mind had a go down on them and go, 1 minute, let me strap up first? Like,
There's people out there.
I mean, there's still people wearing masks, so yeah, I guess so. But, again, like, I'm not an advocate for it myself. I prefer the real feel, but, like...
Run the risks as you do them.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, it is
Either going to be scratching for a while, or you're going to have something that costs you a lot of money.
I mean, there are other types of contraception. There are other methods, and this, that, and everything else. But again, each experience is their own. Like, I mean, bro, if I had more money and like enough means, I would have multiple kids. And yeah, that would 100% get selfish. Because like part of it would just be like, I'm into this. Let's go. Like, breed as many as you can. I want a John Army. Like,
Jesus.
Bro, could you imagine identical twin boys?
No thanks.
The freaking mayhem they would cause. That would be so fun. And like, bro, kids make life so fun in that sense. Like, little one, the simplest of things, she will make absolutely fascinating and find fun in that you kind of lose, like, when you get into an adult. Like, life just kind of tarnishes us a bit. Like, so I do see, like, all of the kind of benefits that she gives me, and obviously you kind of only give them a few big benefits of like food, shelter, clothing, which is important, I guess. If somebody was to give me food, shelter, and clothing, I'd be quite appreciative of that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I never really thought about it as like a selfish pursuit like that. Like, because you spend so much of your time caring for somebody else as well. It's
moreover to this, you're bringing life into a world that is full of crap.
That's a very pessimistic comment.
It is. And I like to be very optimistic, but right now I would argue the world is probably in the worst state it's been in since World War II.
But then quality of life overall is probably going to be far better now than it ever has been.
Okay, but then that quality of life is full of what?
Oh, bro, there's going to be a massive part of it that, like, the top end of the spectrum kind of sways it for the bottom end of the spectrum. Like, there are going to be some people that could potentially wipe their ass with golden toilet paper.
I get that, but at the same time,
some people that ain't got a pot to pee.
I get you, but most of us are bringing kids into a world full of preservatives and, well, signing up to grinding.
I thought you were going to say grinder then. They don't have to, Dave.
Some of them will, but, you know, we're literally going to put people into the same system that we're already in. Can I do that consciously and be happy with that? That's a genuine philosophical question I ask myself. Because if I had a child, would I be happy knowing that I'm going to raise them to be a good human, but knowing that I'm about to pack them off into a system that I hate?
But then, like with little one, I know she's a bit of a special circumstance, but like, I'm not preparing her to go out into the world as I did. I'm trying to just let her kind of figure out as much as she can for the world and kind of have her own experience. Like, from what she's kind of developing at the minute, I think she might get into some form of like music or creative arts. So for me as a parent, I want to enable that as much as possible. Because then when I look back at my own childhood, and again, it's selfish reasons, like, because if I didn't do this, my own self-worth would probably suffer in a sense, and I'd feel quite bad about myself. But you try to make your kid's life a bit better than your own. So in a few instances when I was growing up, as much as my mum tried, bless her, some of my dreams I didn't get to fully pursue. She tried when I got into music, she tried when I got into rugby, but as a single parent, they have their limits, especially in my mum's situation. So so many dreams kind of not necessarily get like fully fulfilled, because you might not want to go all the way with all of them, but you don't always have that time. I'd have loved to go into rugby more and everything else, but she couldn't have paid for the coaching and all of that stuff. Like, there are various aspects of life that you didn't see almost. Kind of like, again, this is probably part of like some vein of OCD in me. But as an adult, I kind of go back through and watch shows that I watched as a kid to just kind of complete the story. Because even now, that's still a kind of bookmark in my head. So now, those kind of points of growing up and parenting, they're bookmarks in my head. Where it's just like, cool, when I had this interest, I was able to take it this far, or I went and done this with it. So like, music as much as she can until she loses interest in it. Opposed to going, cool, you've explored it as far as I can afford, or as far as I've got time for, or whatever else. So, but then is that selfish? Because you're paying it forward. Do you know what I mean? Because your life got a little bit better over time, and everything is slowly improving. And again, I know it's going to be very dependent on where you are in the world. But for a lot of the kind of mass kind of fear mongering and all of that that's out in the world, most people's day-to-day life is pretty alright. Like, most people go to sleep with a sturdy roof over their head, they have running water, they have warm clothes on, they have clean clothes, they have food in their belly. Like, I think it says something about the time of privilege when we've got so many people running scams and trying to kind of benefit off one person or another. Like there is a lot of kind of negativity, depravity in the world or whatever else, but at the same time, there is a lot of abundance and kind of misdirected abundance as well. So that again causes some of the backlog where it's like some people have too much and other people don't have enough. It's not to say the world is perfect, but again, it's kind of trying to be a better person, looking at your life and asking yourself, are you being greedy? Are you taking too much? Like, bro, we're both sitting here with excess body fat. We cannot be throwing stones at people that are being greedy. We live beyond our means. Even though financially, I'd say I'm not doing great at the minute. Like, I'm literally just coasting through life or whatever else. When you actually look at the stark reality of it, I haven't more than enough calories than my body needs for survival. Whether that be in heavily processed food or not, doesn't matter. I could change, I could cook rice if I wanted to, I could cook meat and this, that, or whatever else. But again, we find our kind of ways in life. So we build up this air of complacency and we just kind of think that like everybody's life is the way that ours is. But it's not. The world changes drastically, and something like having kids is going to be very different here than it is going to be elsewhere in the world. Think about having kids in America right now, or having kids in the Middle East right now, or having kids in Russia right now. Like, it's going to be very different for every single person. Not just financially, not just emotionally, and for the actual, like, real world applications or implications of those acts. Like, to say that it's just selfish is obviously a massive kind of discredit to the effort that parents make. But there is always going to be that selfish element to it. But I'm struggling to find a good way to say it, but it applies to like the metaphor of, or the analogy of, planting a tree that you won't sit under the shade of. Where it's like, so there is a massive chance that little one is going to outlive me. And when she is making her best impact on the world, I probably won't be around to see it. When she's having children of her own, making her own family and doing all that other thing, I'm probably not going to be around to see that. Like, in all honesty, I don't know if I'll make it to 60. Like, I genuinely, if I'm anything like my parents, I probably won't make it much past that. Unless I'm going to do something different, prove them wrong and everything else. And even then, I've got to start asking myself, well, how am I going through life then? Am I living selfishly? Because if I'm living selfishly, I'm not going to care that I'm going to expire at 60. But if I'm living in kind of an unselfish way, I guess, and thinking about like, do I want to be around for my daughter? What if she needs me? What if she needs guidance? What if she just needs somebody to talk to? Am I going to put in the effort to not do all of the things that I may enjoy? Like, bro, you know me, I'm an adrenaline junkie. I could go around in fast cars and go skydiving and do this and do that. That really puts my life at risk or kind of at more jeopardy or whatever else. And there's a lot of that I've dialed back since being a dad. Like, you've seen yourself how much I've kind of taken it a lot easier in life, where it's just like, there's still that vein in me that wants to go 150, 200 mile an hour and everything else. Mm-hmm. But then there's that thing that it's like, you've got somebody else to think about. So as much as, again, it relates to like that kaleidoscope of life, where it's like, yeah, it is selfish, but it's also one of the most unselfish things that you can do is raise a child. A productive child that is actually trying to make the world a better place, contribute to society or whatever else. Like, but there are so many people that fail at it
too. Yes, there are. I still don't really think that makes having children selfless, though. I still think it's a very selfish venture, personally.
So again, I don't think it falls one side or the other. I'm not saying that
it's a negative. I'm just saying it as a general point.
Do you know what?
It's a selfish act, and it's a bit unfair for me to do it, but I'm saying it anyway. Because it's very hard to find a purely selfless act.
Oh, 100%.
Like, do you know what? Genuinely incredibly hard to find a purely selfless act.
I mean,
and most people will try and come up with a few ideas and be like, this is selfless. Guarantee you it's not. I guarantee you it's not, because the first one most people go, what about giving to charity? You do it because you want to feel good.
Yeah.
It's not selfless.
You get something from it.
I mean, well done for doing it, but it's not selfless.
But even then, any good act is going to release some form of endorphin, so it's going to feel good.
That's why it's a bit unfair that I'm levying it, but I stand by it anyways, because truly everything's bloody selfish at some point.
I think again, I'd say that there is obviously elements of selfishness to it, but then a massive part of it is selfless. Like I said, I've got the sleepless nights to prove it.
Yeah, but that's a martyr complex, in my opinion. That's an absolute martyr complex. By having children, you know you're going to have sleepless nights. I don't listen to that and feel sympathy in a weird way. Because, well, brother, you chose that path.
No, again, like, you don't have the children because you want the sleepless nights. It's
No,
just
but that's my point. Is when you go, I'm sleeping properly. Okay, that's because you're raising a child. That's how it should be. You're not getting a gold medal from me for that. I work with people that have kids. I actively train people who have kids. I've trained people who have just given birth. I have sympathy and I'm empathetic.
Don't sound like it.
That's just because it's you. But like, at the end of the day, it's part of the process. People done that for you. Now you're doing it for someone else. That's how it works.
I mean, my mum done it for him with added disability and da-da-da-da.
There you go. Bro, if I have a child, I actively know I am going to have sleepless nights, and that's okay because I'm raising this thing, and that's my duty.
See, that's the thing, right? So I don't begrudge the sleepless nights or whatever else. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll vent to it, vent about it or whatever else, but it is very much part and parcel. But again, it's like, you obviously don't get into... Bro, it's like the same sense of like a relationship. In a relationship, you're gonna have arguments and spats and this, that and everything else. You don't get into the relationship for that, but it's a byproduct of living with somebody and trying to find that equilibrium and this, that and everything else. Like, it's just part and parcel of having kids is you have some sleepless nights. Look, even as a person yourself, you'll have some sleepless nights. Bro, my stomach's kept me up at night. My headaches have kept me up at night. Overthinking's kept me up at night. Like, countless things can interrupt our sleep, interrupt our lives 100%. Or whatever else. But at least with kids, it's got a chance to pay back. Like, bro, somebody's going to have to wipe your butt when you're old. Somebody's going to, if not, they're going to have to bury your corpse. Or you're going to need somebody else in the future. It's either going to be one of your kids or somebody else's kids. So is it not more selfish to expect somebody else's kids to take care of your old ass than to provide your own children to take care of your old ass?
But surely it's the ultimate selfish thing is having kids and expecting them to look after you when they get older.
I mean...
Because now, they're a fully grown adult, typically, and you are making them sacrifice some of their best years for you. All in the name of, I created you. I didn't ask you to.
Alright, so again, I genuinely have experience with this, obviously, in my mum's later years, actually caring for her and everything else. And, bro, they can become a bit of a burden, in all honesty. But at the same time, it's almost a right and an honour. Like, there is an element to caring for somebody else where it's like, I'm able to do this and I would like to do so. For example, if your bank balance was big enough to retire mama, would you not do that in a heartbeat?
If you wanted to.
Would that be a selfish act?
Well, yeah, because I feel good about it.
But even still, because it's within your kind of capacity, it's not, what's to say? It's not as much of an effort as it would have been for her to raise you. Does that make sense? Like, if you've got a healthy bank balance and you can literally just go here, there's no struggle in that for you. So it's a privilege to be at that point of power, to be able to go, here, look, I can take care of you. You've done such a good job with me. This is the world paying you back for your effort. And you kind of being essentially a deliverer of that message. And I think that's the thing. Like, if you do a good job as a parent, it will pay off in the back end. And it's not to say that they have to or they should feel obligated to, but if you've kind of done things right, that's kind of how it should work. Do you know what I mean? Like, again, if you're in a good relationship and you've got a good dynamic, and when you're ill, your missus takes care of you, so then when she's ill, you take care of her, that's symbiosis. That's what a world we can all live in.
Yeah.
But if you just want to take, look at all of the kids that do come up and they don't want to care for their parents and everything else. And they're just like, have you popped your clogs yet? Because I want my inheritance. There are plenty of people like that in the world, bro.
Yeah, trust.
And it, again, is it to say that their parents are getting rewarded for raising them? Well, no, I'm sorry, but you didn't do a great enough job. Or either you or society messed up your kid. Sort it out. So there is no guarantee that your kids are going to pay it back. If anything, kids are just a massive gamble. You don't know if you're going to get a good one or a terrible one. And really and truly, not even the only, because again, society, you've got nature over nurture. You can try your absolute best at home, but eventually you've got to send your kid to school. Then they're going to have friends and they've got social circles, and now you're not the only influence. So unless you're going to homeschool your kid and keep them in a basement, which is illegal, you ain't got that much control. Do you know what I mean? So like, if anything, I guess it's what I preach on the pod. Like, you've just kind of got to try to gather those tools. And in parenting, I think you've got to know that there is an element of it that is selfish, so that you can be unselfish or less selfish. Like I say, there are moments in fatherhood where I'm like, I'm doing this moment for me, or I'm asking her to do this for me, or whatever else. Like, again, there's our understanding versus their understanding. Like, do you want them to eat their peas because you think of like one of your 5 a day and this, that, or whatever else? Or are they sitting there thinking like, I don't like the taste of peas or whatever? Like, to try to shift that perspective, is always going to be fascinating. And yeah, I don't know if it can be simplified to as much of a point as it's selfish, but if I haven't said it already, because the thought's gone around in my head a few times, I think a good way to say it would be having kids is a luxury. And the thing is, even that, there are people that have kids that can't afford luxury. Like, they're barely making ends meet as it is. They've got 7 kids, 5 dogs, 3 cats, 2 budgies, and a friggin' repo man at the door. We all know somebody like it. Like, some people just take from life.
Yeah.
But then, like, bro, I'm going on a bit of a ramble here, but this kind of brings me on to the point of, like, the thought of going bankrupt. To any of us normal folk, the thought of going bankrupt means zero. Everything's over. To a businessman, they're like, no, I've been bankrupt 3 times. I'm on another company. Again, it's that level of understanding, how far we can take it. As soon as you shift your perception, as soon as you shift your perspective, everything looks a little bit different. Even in, like, how things are growing now with power progression and, well, power progression more so than perspective chasers, but like that kind of legitimizing it into a business and building up events and this and that. Like, it all takes a different road, and you learn new things down that road, no?
Definitely.
So then, but I suppose, do you remember way back when I used to call the pod my brain baby?
Yeah.
I think, again, like, power progression is kind of your brain baby. Like, not kind of, it is. But again, it will take that same kind of steps as a child would. Like, I was listening to another podcast the other day, and they were saying how raising animals is very much people having surrogate children. They will baby their animals, and like, people do it in many different ways, right? So I think a business is another way of doing that.
It's an interesting concept.
Because, like, again, you nurture it, you have to give it time, attention, you've got to teach it stuff, you've got to build it, you've got to encourage it to grow over time, you've got to have a vision for it, and other people are going to try to tamper with it over time. Like,
Yeah.
There's so many variables to it. I do think it's just another kind of, another way of creating. I mean, are your kids not that? Your creation?
Yeah. A bit different in the business, though, I think.
100% they're going to be different, but I do think there are going to be some commonalities in kind of just mental approach. Sorry, I've been holding it off for way too long. People invest their absolute life into their business. They live and breathe it. They wake up at 4 a.m. and start grinding their business. They're out there pitching to people. They're doing this, that, and everything else. And to them, they put as much passion into their business as you would raising a child.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I can't tell you how euphoric or how like endorphin rich parenthood is. Like there's just no way to contextualize it. But I think everybody, and you might be one of these, has their way of experiencing that for themselves. And it might be through business, it might be through creating something different, it could be through having just pets or whatever else. Like everybody kind of nurtures differently. But I think there is that vein of nurturing where everybody has to express it. And that is parenthood, no? That nurturing. Like even people that have surrogate children that ain't biological. Wait. Like, I had a surrogate auntie and grandma when I was growing up that was like, they knew my mum from school, but they weren't blood related or anything like that. But again, they was close enough to us because they was there. They had those nurturing aspects. They cared for us. Blah 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 blah. Like there's far more that goes into parenting, and I think there's a lot that can be translated through other areas of life like that. Like there's always going to be different instances where you kind of just interact with people and you pick up things from them, whether it be like mentors or whatever else. Like parenting takes so many forms. I don't think it's so cookie cutter, man.
That's fair.
Should we wrap this episode up? Because you ain't said anything in a while.
I mean, I kind of made all my points, really. Like, it's hard for me to give a full-on perspective because I'm not a parent.
But that's why it's so interesting, because obviously, although I wanted kids before having little one, I weren't ready for them. But then, since she's been here, she's made me so much better.
Fair.
And I remember seeing things about, or not seeing things, saying things about like, she was kind of delivered to the right parent. Like, again, it was like that puzzle piece. Like, me and her click like no other. That daddy-daughter bond, like, I understand her and she understands me. Like, there's that unspoken thing that you really can't put into words. Like, there's just that look that, like, just warms your soul. Like, yeah, I really don't think there has been anything more rewarding in my life. And, I mean, I've had pets, I've that had like what's the word? I've lost it. Surrogate kind of children in that sense or whatever else, like nieces, nephews and all of that stuff, but like nothing hits like your own child, man. Like again, you think you love little one, wait till if the day comes that you have your own child. Like that what was it? I think David Chappelle said it about like having children deepened his level of love and enriched what love was for him. I'm butchering that, but like it basically like opened up a whole new realm of like this is love kind of thing. Because again, bro, it's unconventional. Not unconventional, unconditional. I mean, sometimes unconventional love, but like little one, even if she's absolutely peed me off, like bro, she could cut off my hand and I would be damn annoyed. I'm still gonna love her. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, you do that and we're fighting. We're rolling around like crocodiles, bro. But so, yeah, it definitely does kind of like open up this whole new element in life. And then you start seeing a whole new kind of way of the world from just like different experiences. Like, bro, going to like farms or playgroups or like, when was the last time you went down a slide?
Been a while, but I wouldn't rule it out because I do dumb stuff all the time.
100%, but how good does that dumb stuff feel?
Really good.
I go down a slide fairly frequently.
Like, I can do what I want.
Yeah, bro, I'm not gonna lie. That I'm kind of jealous of.
Like, I mean, it's kind of hard to win against that. Like, I can do what I want. Like, I don't have to stress. I don't really have to answer to anyone. I can kind of do what I want, man. If I want to go travel a bit, I'll go travel. You know what I mean? If I want to eat whatever for dinner, I can. I can eat when I want. You know what I mean?
But that sounds so much more selfish. Because everything's me, I.
Yeah, but it's my life and I get to dictate that.
Even then,
I'm not the one having children. So I don't need it. Yeah, you could say it's selfish, but it has no relation because I'm not the one having children. So I don't have a dependent to have to worry about. I am the dependent.
But yeah, so this is the thing. So that's so much more of a selfish vein. Because again, you're
How else is
expecting
it meant to
everybody
be?
else to care for you.
No, I don't.
You're not contributing. Bro,
I am the dependent. I'm not. I don't.
yes,
I'm,
so you depend on people.
No, I depend on me.
No, okay, bro, the moment you're taking out the picture, you break your leg. Who are you depending on then?
Me.
You lose your sight. Who are you depending on then?
Me.
You lose your... Bro, anything that takes you out of commission, you're done for. Like, bro,
But
you
that
got...
also applies to you.
For now.
Full stop.
But at least I can say, like, you take care of me now, I've got somebody that will contribute to society later.
To say that I have to say that I'm selfish because if something happens to me, who am I depending on? You're in the same boat.
But at least I've contributed a person to society.
Yeah, and in the process, you massively alter their life for doing so. Because now they feel compelled to look after your dumb old crusty arse.
I mean, I don't know if
So then you take that ability away from them to go and do what they want because, oh wait, I need to feed dad because he can't do it. He's dribbling again. Great. Let me go connect his tubes.
And that's only at 45.
You know what I mean? Oh, he's choking on mushy peas again. Great. Let me punch him in the chest.
But...
How am I the selfish one? Go away!
Bro, I mean, both are selfish, just in different ways.
Not even. Like, if anything happens to me like that, I have to go to professionals who look after me. They chose to go and do that job. I'm helping them get paid. They're doing their job. What? How is that selfish? Could have been their dream to be a nurse. Well, guess what? You get to put a cast on my leg because I'm dumb. Thank you, by the way.
Thank you in advance.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Come at me saying I'm selfish because I can do what I want. That's pure projectionism and hatred.
That is the idea
That's full hate.
No, that's literally the definition of selfish is being like
Just because
overly concerned with yourself.
Just because I can eat a chocolate bar and not have to worry about someone trying to yank it from me, bro.
But
Don't hate.
she would inhale it out of the freaking
Don't
air.
hate. Don't hate, bro.
I have to sometimes. Gotta get it out.
Just because I can have ice cream in peace.
Without
someone trying to dip into it.
We're gonna have to agree to disagree on this one because there is, like, I think both have their elements of selfishness. I will give that parenthood is selfish in a way, but so is childlessness.
Wild take.
We need more opinions. People drop comments. What do you say?
I'm selfish for just doing my own thing.
Me or Dave? Pick. Drop in the comments.
I'm selfish
John
for just,
or Dave?
for being one person that consumes from this planet as opposed to you being two.
You do not consume one person's amount. That is a poor argument there. That is the poorest argument of the day.
I consume less meat than you do now, I guarantee it.
Now you sound like I'm back on Grindr.
You never left, homie.
I never joined. But, yeah.
Founded it.
Bro, I was making bang! I mean, there's a hypothetical that we could have gone, like, what is your figure?
How much you selling for?
I mean, bro, if it's end of the month, we could be down into 3 figures.
He hasn't included where the decimal point is.
Trust. But yeah, I don't know. I think, obviously, we are both on opposite sides of the fence, but I would really be hopefully, well, mainly the paywall then, if you're here, yeah, I've had kids now, still don't want them.
Best believe! Best believe!
We may need a little bit of protection if we get to that point.
Best believe,
ironically.
I'd be a great dad, but I'd also be that one just going, like, they're jarring. Like, it's November, it's cold, I gotta take him to a soft play. I could be in Venezuela with the missus, but no, we had a kid. Now I'm here building bunk beds when I could be in the goddamn Bahamas drinking out of coconuts.
I'm not gonna lie, my brain's gone there and it's like, how can we still go to the Bahamas and drink out of coconuts?
This microphone could go suck a fat one.
And I thought about employing a travelling teacher for little one. It's possible. Somebody gets free holidays or whatever else. You just got to teach my kid. You could pay for babysit. Bro, if you had enough money, you could make it work.
Caveat is enough money.
Trust. So sponsor us. Drop a like, drop a subscribe. check out Power Progression, help both causes, build us up, and get us to the Bahamas. We'll do a video out there.
You dropped your guts?
Nah, did you?
Nah, it smells like arse though, doesn't it? Or is it just, am I having a stroke?
Are we talking shite again? On that note, while we go investigate the smell, let's think of a seed. Ironically. That whether you want kids or don't want kids, there are going to be good things and bad things. But one thing's for damn sure: if we stop reproducing,
the world will be a better place.
Brother, have a bit of optimism, please.
Let the world grow again, bruv.
I mean, the world does need replenishing. See, that's the other thing. I know we're trying to end the pod, but yeah. They're saying that like population is declining or whatever else. We're as populated as we've ever been. We can afford to lose a couple of people.
If we lose a couple countries, yeah.
Lose a couple Karens. Let's go for it.
I mean.
Like, take the warnings off of bleach bottles for a couple of years and let society even itself out.
Do his thing.
That's the seed for this episode. Have kids, yeah, but understand they may not all make it. That's survival of the fittest for you. All the best, and we'll catch you on the next one.